Ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:06 p.m., January the 25th, here on the west coast of the United States of America. It is Wednesday night, which means it is reaction time. It's our weekly reaction time. I hope you're ready. I hope you got some suggestions, because I've been looking around and nothing really catching my attention. Something did, but I was like, I really don't want to react to that. So if you got suggestions, please let me know. You can send it in Discord. You can, if you're a patron on Patreon, you can definitely send it on Patreon, or you can just email me at info@apologiacenter.com. Drop a like, drop a comment. Tell me what's going on, how you are doing as I clean my glasses, because everything's weirdly foggy right now. These are the issues that come with wearing glasses. I actually just cleaned them, but I didn't realize that there's some stuff left over. People ask me, Arthur, why don't you go get LASIK? And I tell them, because I like wearing glasses. No, partly because my eyes had not stabilized in regards to, getting worse till this last year. So if they don't stabilize, if you don't get like 2 years that are pretty stable and okay, about the same with, very little change, then you can't do that. It also costs money. So I spend a good amount of my day today cleaning my office. So I'm one of those individuals, which is my studio, which is where I'm sitting. This is like office/studio. So I grab a lot of books off the shelf, and, I got books, different places that I'm reading through. I got my fingers and hands in a bunch of different books usually. And then plus mail and things of that sort. And one of the things that I've realized about myself is if there's clutter around me, I can't focus. I need things organized. So I spend couple of hours here, and it's not even fully done. Reorganizing, rearranging, doing that. Can you react to the fact that it's my birthday and I'm just chilling? Have you ever heard of a group of rappers called 116? Do you mean the 116 clique? So we can react to the fact that it's your birthday and we want to say happy birthday to you. If I had a little thing here that sang happy birthday, I would click it, but happy birthday. And have I heard of a group of rappers called the 116? The 116 click a long time ago. I listened to them for a little bit. More of a cross movement fan myself, but heard about them. I don't think, are they still around? I'm not sure. But yeah, try watching The Fatherless Crisis in America by Valuetainment. Also, good evening. Hey, PT, what's up? So I saw that actually on my feed, but I haven't watched it. How long is this video? Let's see. So Patrick Bet David, our boy. By the way, same town. They migrated to the same area, same town as I did. He went to the same high school that my older brother went to. They might have actually been classmates. My brother was there for just, I think, a year and a half or something. Went to school with someone I know that's a pretty good friend. Armenian, Patrick Bet David. Shout out to Patrick Bet David, by the way. I went to church with a number of folks, and that's where he says he gave his life to Christ, became a believer. He claims to be a believer as far as I know, and I know the church very well. I have friends there. So lots of different connections. Maybe one day Pat and I can have a sit down or something like that. That'd be cool. That would be really, really cool. It'd be nice to sit down with Pat and talk about some of this stuff. So I got it pulled up. Well, there's a fatherlessness crisis. So Not surprised at that, but we'll look at it. Bunch of really popular rappers are 116, like so Lecrae and all those guys. Yeah, I know that. I know they like came out of that. Well, they came from that, but I don't know if they're still like as one group or whatever. What? But yes. Well, hold your hand, and Google Pics shows a few of them holding up horns. Like this stuff? Come on, man. Hey, don't take that stuff seriously. PBD looks very Armenian. That's because he is very Armenian. His dad's Assyrian. His mom's Armenian. So, yeah, Armenians and Assyrians look quite a bit alike. So, and those marriages between Assyrians and Armenians were pretty common, especially in Iran. So, which is where his family's from. Great guy, by the way. I really enjoy Patrick Bet-David's stuff. And I'll tell you something about him. Like, I've messaged him on Instagram. Just like I remember one time he put up I think he did like a baptism. Like his son was getting baptized in Florida. And I congratulate him and stuff. And I think I got a response from that. Like, hey, thank you. He put up a picture of a video of his dad saying something, and I commented on it, like private messaged him and stuff like that. And the dude responds, which is really, really cool. Jay Sharp, what's up? Any resources you would recommend for looking at science and young Earth, old Earth views? Man, I just put that book back there. There's a book called The Genesis Debate. It's actually edited by an Armenian guy. So this is a pretty cool place to start. So the Genesis Debate right here, this book, 3 views of the day creation, and it's a debate book. So I think it'll be helpful. One of the things that I would always recommend when it comes to anything like this is always for you to build up the ability to to do your hermeneutics properly. I think almost always these issues come up when there's a hermeneutics issue. They still rap about 116 to the grave and whatnot. Oh, okay. I have a quick 27-second video, short suggestions from Twitter. Can you get that to me somehow? I like Pat. He has strong opinions, but he's quite an achiever and really loves the country. Amen to that. Yeah, that's... the thing is that, like, folks like Pat are... like, what they had to go through to achieve the things, right, that they've achieved. People generally don't understand that and then what America provided considering other places in the world. Yeah. Try to pull this up and see if it's looking good. Okay, there's Pat. What's up, Pat? How you doing, man? What happens if I click this button? Well, that closes, and then I get the same thing, essentially, just the ads move. Doesn't change anything on our end. So let's speed this up to... I realized last week I forgot to speed up that whole thing. And then when I was editing to get that out, I realized how long my reaction was to a fairly short video. So I need to always remember to speed it up to at least 1.25 the speed. If you guys are ready for this, drop a 1 in the comments as we say hi to more folks jumping in here. So try to add it on Patreon because it doesn't let me post it. Correct. Yeah, just send it on Patreon. And then I'll open it up. I gotta open up Twitter, it seems like. There we are. We just logged into Twitter. I haven't logged into Twitter on my computer for some time. And as I log in, I get a nice picture of our boy John Clash with inspiring philosophy. They hung out together, and I think some cool stuff happening. Shout out to John Clash, by the way, for the boost he's gotten in his channel. John had a video that went viral. I think it's, what would you guys consider the number to hit for something to go viral? Like, what would you consider a viral video? How many views does it needs to get? And this was a short on YouTube. I haven't checked what John's, let's see. I've been kind of sending him updates. Like, hey, I'm very happy with him. His subscriber count has like skyrocketed. Ooh-hoo! Man. Hey, I'm getting like residue probably from this, I would say. I'm getting some of the glory falling on me, right? Let's check that out. So John Clash just hit 17,700. He'll hit, I think tomorrow he'll hit 20. I thought he was going to hit 20 by tonight, but maybe it's slowed down. So he had a video. Hey, look at that. Look who, it's yours truly. But this video went viral, guys. Check it out. You guys can see it. Look at that. The Mr. Rogers video went viral. 2.6 million views. Well done, Mr. Clash. Goes to tell you, right? Just keep on doing what you're doing, and stuff will happen. Okay, we got Patreon open. I'm waiting for that message to come through, by the way, on Patreon. Oh, there it is. Okay. We'll do this one, by the way, first, because it's shorter. It's 27 seconds. Okay. Audio. I wish there's a way we can shut this stuff down. Oh. No fun. Here, hang on. There's ways to do this stuff. I haven't read anything yet, by the way. And bam, we're good. You guys are good to go. We're good to go. The USA ain't perfect, but it's better than anything else. I agree with that. For some reason, I thought PBD was Iranian. So Patrick Bet-David is from Iran. You're not wrong in that. Right, he's from Iran, but ethnically he's Armenian and Assyrian. So his dad is Assyrian, his mom is Armenian. They got married, Patrick Bet-David, but in Iran. Some regions of the world are complicated. Okay, y'all are ready. There we go. Henry's in the house. He's 0.5% ready. And Future covers that by saying 1.5. So together it's two people. Makes sense. We're good with that. See, that 250,000 would be going viral. Yeah, I would say if you pass 100,000, I'd consider you've gone viral. I saw his recent interview with Brett Weinstein. I haven't seen that one yet. Probably the most humble and likable I've seen Pat. Oh, interesting. I like Brett Weinstein, by the way. Buck says that video was suggested to me. Algorithm picked it up. Yep. Algorithm picked it up and went crazy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump into this. Please fix the microphone cover. It's hurting my... I didn't realize it. Oh, man. You guys should tell me stuff like that. Usually I'm very, very good with stuff like that. But that if I had noticed it, it would be hurting my OCD too. I'm sorry about that, okay? Haraj, I'm sorry. You're my friend. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reacting to this video on YouTube. It says, saw a guy with a God is pro-life sign, and I asked him about the whole God killing everyone on earth thing? Let's go.
I see this sign here. It says God is pro-life. What does that mean?
God is pro-life.
Yeah.
That's just what it means. Yes. God created life.
Didn't God kill everybody on earth except for Noah and some farm animals on an ark?
I'm sorry.
Didn't God kill everybody on earth? I see this sign here. It says God is pro-life. What does that mean?
God is pro-life.
Yeah.
That's just what it means. Yes. God created life.
Didn't God kill everybody on earth except for Noah and some farm animals on an ark?
I'm sorry.
Didn't God kill everybody on earth?
This dude said, didn't God kill everybody on earth except some farm animals? I mean, silly people like this maybe deserve very silly answers, but we'll take them seriously. Did God kill everybody on earth? Now, very clearly, it seems to me that either intentionally or unintentionally out of ignorance, this individual doesn't understand the difference between killing that is justified and potentially killing that is unjustified. Now, if you're going to go the biblical route and with the biblical story says that the thoughts of every man were only evil continuously in those days. So when God actually kills everybody on the earth, he judges everybody on the earth. And there's a big difference there between judging and then just randomly killing like a maniac. And that's what he's supposed to be taking it as. But let's take his argument to some kind of a logical conclusion, I guess. Does that mean because the Christian believes that God killed everyone on the earth, judged everyone on the earth, that somehow shows that we can kill kids in the womb? Like, is that a counter argument he's trying to develop? Because it's a really bad one. Like, it doesn't logically follow. Even if God kills whomever, that doesn't mean that we now have the right to kill whomever we want. Because God would be the individual, or God would be the being that has complete authority and knowledge and right and, X, Y, and Z that goes into that, where he has access to all that stuff and no one else does. So when God does things, that doesn't necessarily mean that we naturally just replicate all that stuff and do it ourselves. This is a very strange and silly, a childish sort of argument. Now, I wish this guy gave him a response, but the way he phrased the question, that, didn't God kill everyone except Noah and a bunch of farm animals, just shows that, he's being facetious. He's not genuinely asking a question. There's some people who genuinely ask questions of this sort. And my response to them would be, hey, there's a difference between judging and then there's a difference between murder. The child in the womb has done absolutely nothing for them to deserve any kind of a judgment from you. So the mother doesn't look at the child in the womb, say, I'm judging you because you've done evil continuously or something like that. So this is a very, very bad argument. It shouldn't be taken seriously at all. Maybe that guy is pretty wise for not just responding to him. And it's being spread on the internet like, he doesn't have an answer to my extremely sophisticated question here. Well, my friend, your question is an extremely dumb one. Please don't ask it again. And definitely do not ask it of anyone who knows what they're talking about. Thank you. It has 1.3 million views. What did you guys think? Who's this guy, by the way? Let's see. Jason thinks he's like a really, really good reporter, I guess. and that he just like smacked down articles. Amazing stuff. Let's see comments. I want to see comments on this video. Where are the comments? How do you get to the comments? Man, I hate Twitter so much. "101 comments. Let's see. He was trying to think, but all he heard was the Team America theme song. God has no respect of persons. It rains on the just as well as the unjust. I'm a Christian, but I have no heaven or no hell to put anyone in. But I don't have to agree with what people do just like someone else." What? Doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. Okay, it's just nothing exciting in the comment section. What did you guys think? She said 1.5 million views and only 100 comments. Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? Jump back into this. He called PT Carl. Hey, what up, Arashah Bande? How you doing? Said yes, he did kill them all. People today are so soft. Life's been too easy for them. You said it, not me. They like to apply the unique situation to the world today. But it's not even like, it's okay, like apply it, but be fair, right? So for me, it's being intellectually honest in any one of these conversations. So you say, didn't God do this? God did do that. What does that mean? You conclude, therefore, it's okay to abort your child? How? Where is the connection and logic there? Nowhere. It doesn't exist. What a bigoted Christophobic documentary. I'm a discriminatory interviewer. He's God. If he wants to annihilate the whole earth, he can and give us no explanation. So he doesn't have to give us an explanation. I agree, Lex. But he would have to have a justifiable reason, like a morally justifiable reason to himself. He wouldn't need to tell anyone anything. He doesn't know anyone an answer. But to himself, because of the definition of God that we have, that is good and loving and all that stuff, he would have to have a justifiable reason. It could be, yeah. Maybe he didn't have an answer. Judging people for doing wrong is completely different from carelessly murdering babies in the womb. Exactly. What up, Armando? How you doing, man? Okay. Now we're going to talk about Patrick Bet-David's video called "The Fatherless Crisis in America." You guys ready for this? Take us away, Pat.
I have some disturbing stats I want to share with you about fatherless homes. And by the way, some of the stats, I've seen this before. I'm going to tell you, when you read some of these stats, you're going to sit there and say, that is insane. By the way, these stats are from 2021 of the impact a father makes in a child upbringing, both a girl and a boy. Like I said, disturbing, but you will be shell-shocked with the stats. If you get value from the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let me get right into it. The U.S. has the highest rate of children living in a single-parent household of any nation in the world.
Wow. That's very interesting.
About 80% of single-parent homes are led by single mothers.
Okay.
At a rate of 23% of children living with one parent and no other adult. The United States stands over 3 times the world average of 7% of children raised by one parent. For reference, the number stands at 3% in China, 4% in India.
Wow.
This is not an area we want to be competing with other countries, by the way. If there is a statistic to not be competing in, this is one of the statistics. China's at 3, India's at 4, the world's at 7. We're at 23% in America, 0 bragging rights. This is the stat everybody wants to hide. And this is the stats where the side effects of this, we ain't gonna see for 2 decades or 3 decades or longer. Takes a while to see the side effects. Let me continue. Even for children with a father present in the home, the average school-age boy only spends about 30 minutes per week with one-on-one conversations with his father. For comparison, the same boy, on average, will spend about 44 hours a week watching television, playing video games, and surfing the internet. In our house, there is no video games throughout the week. It's on the weekends after you read 150 pages throughout the week. Then you have the right to play video games for an hour or 2 on the weekend. And that's what you have to earn. You have to move your body, you have to exercise. There's certain things you need to do to get to that point. That's our household.
It is a good policy, Pat. So, yeah, we have a very similar policy in our house. So at least with my oldest, because he's reading pretty well. But yeah, so he's probably read 5-6 books already this month. Each book is 120 to 200 pages long. So that's, what is that? Divide that. It's today's the 18th, 25th. I got my days wrong. Yeah. So that's about a book a week that he's doing. And we have a little thing with him that, if he finishes 100 books by the end of the year, so we're keeping a log, which is cool because it's actually encouraging me to do my reading and be up on my reading. So I'm going to start keeping a log for my own reading as well. We don't have any video games. No consoles. They get to play some stuff on the iPad, but it is always educational games. Very active in regards to athletics. My son plays soccer. Well, both my sons play soccer. The younger one started as well. My daughter dances. They got practice twice a week for about 3-4 hours, and they have games over the weekend. So pretty active in that area. Physical activity matters quite a bit. Hang out with Dad. We talk together. We sit down. We have conversations. I'll tell you something that I realized in youth groups and being a pastor that is very interesting when it comes to this question. So fatherlessness can mean many things, right? So you could have, like, you can just not have a father in the house. You can have a father in the house, but he's not present. So still you're raising yourself as well. So, and plenty of folks grew up like that. So one of the things I realized was, like, in a given youth group in church, by the way, these are folks that are in churches. Now, that doesn't mean they were all brought up in the church and their family are church-going Christians and stuff like that. Most of the time they weren't, at least in my experience. But out of 10 students, I would have about 5-6 of them who were from a broken home. Usually no dad around. So that leaves me with 4 other kids out of 10, right? And what I would realize is probably from the 4 or 5 left, about 2-3 of them had dads that just did not care, were not present, didn't interact with them. Which left about 2 or 3 students out of 10 who had dads around, and those dads were actually involved in their lives and paid attention. That is very, very sad. Extremely dangerous. In regard, like, and these kids had all sorts of issues, and it was very just observationally for me, the kids that had that, the 2 or 3 that had that, tended to they were usually the kids that were just doing much better. School-wise, they were doing better, just like holistically, as mature individuals, they were doing better. They just were doing better in life. So I think that's what he's getting at with that.
But the stat tells you 44 hours a week of watching TV, playing video games, and surfing the internet. Let me continue. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of teen suicides, 85% of children.
Now, this is crazy. 90% of all homeless, he's going to say, come from fatherless homes. Wow. 63% of teen suicides. I'm going to make a comment about causation and correlation soon, but let me see.
Children and teens with behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. Let me read that stat to you one more time. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of all teen suicide, 85% of children and teens with behavioral disorder come from fatherless homes. That is a very, very big number. Next, fatherlessness likewise has a direct link to teen pregnancy and sexual activity. Roughly 70%.
This doesn't surprise me. I mean, look, when I was growing up, and guys were trying to pick up a girl and stuff like that, and they knew they were looking for a girl that essentially would put out, they looked for girls who had daddy issues. Like, this was commonly spoken about amongst guys, where it's like, hey, she's like needy for like male attention. We know who she is. Her dad's not around, or she doesn't have a dad, or he doesn't care, or something like that. This is just like our upbringing. We knew this very well, very young. So it doesn't surprise me that what we see is girls who don't have dads around, who end up running into the arms of the wrong man or boy in a lot of situations, and end up getting pregnant.
Of teenage pregnancies come from women raised in a fatherless home. 70% of teenage pregnancies comes from fatherless homes. 70%. That's a big number. And these same women have significantly higher abortion rates than women raised by both a father and a mother. On the whole,
No question about that.
fatherless kids are 20 times more likely to be incarcerated and 11 times more likely to exhibit violent behavior than children from two-parent household. 20 times more. Okay? 20 times more. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chances as children raised by just their father. You may already be blown away.
Wow. Oh, that is interesting. I didn't expect that.
By the stats before, so maybe come back and let me read this to you and brace for impact if you missed it. Let me read it one more time. Listen. Just stay with me. Don't get distracted. Stay with me. Listen.
Come to TurboTax.
Come on, man. Ads. It's okay. Let me play this ad and then we'll jump into it. Wow, man. I really didn't expect that. I don't know if you guys expected that, but I didn't expect that the numbers would be the same. That was... We'll get to your comments, by the way, after this video is done. Rewind it a little bit. We're back. And let's go.
Don't get distracted. Stay with me. Listen. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chance as children raised by just their fathers. The husband and wife raise their kid. The chance of this kid going to jail is the same as just the father raising his kids. The problem is the single mother without a father in the picture that can sit there and discipline the kids, give them hope, values, principles, all the other stuff.
By the way, shout out to all the single moms, and some of them that I know were forced to be single moms, and they were forced to be single moms and dads. Big respect. I know I have some very, very good and close friends who were raised by their mothers, and their moms were like, they're some of the toughest, hardworking people. I don't even want to say women, but people that I know. So big shout outs to them. And but they would even tell you it was so difficult. It was so hard. So shout outs to that. But these are, like, if you want to think about it in a less emotional sense and more kind of logical sense, these are some crazy, like, that's a crazy stat. That if you have a dad just raising his kids, he's going to do a lot better than just a mom.
We play different roles. This is statistic. If somebody's watching this saying, oh my God, you're discounting women, you're discounting mothers, go get upset at the stats, not at me. This is stats. You can't get upset at 3 times 3 is 9. That's stats. I'm giving you stats that's being given to us by the government because they have access to these stats. This is disturbing. Let me continue. Girls with no fathers have lower self-esteem. We can lower crime, lower mental issues, help the economy, lower suicide rates, and decrease homelessness by bringing back the family nucleus. There are things that might...
This is why I regularly tell my daughter that she's beautiful. I regularly tell my daughter that she's smart, that she's strong. I make it a point to encourage my daughter in all the ways that I can possibly encourage her in. I discipline her when she needs to be disciplined, as I discipline my boys as they need to be disciplined. But I encourage my children, but specifically my daughter in this situation, so that she will not have a need to have anyone else in her life encourage her in those ways. That's just something that I've made a habit of, and I regularly remind her. I also remind her how much I love her, as I remind my children regularly how much I love them.
Wife can do as a mother that I can't do. There's things she can bring that I can't bring, but there are things I can do that she can't do. So now you may say, well, Pat, I agree. I do agree. We can lower.
If you don't believe that there's things that obviously women can do that guys can't do, and then there's things that guys can do that women can't do, you haven't hung out with a group of children that are going chaotic. They're going insane with like a couple of female teachers. I'll give you an anecdotal example of this. At our church, typically in churches, which is, I don't like this, but typically in churches, you will get females that are running the Sunday school for the children. I actually think guys need to get involved in their church Sunday schools, teaching the kids, because that's extremely necessary considering the kind of stats we're seeing and folks coming out of fatherless homes. So you want guys present. But one day I walked into the Sunday school, and these kids, like 30 of them, I mean, God bless their hearts, there's like 2 teachers, but there's like 30 kids just going insane. They're like climbing up the walls, and the teachers are trying to get their attention, telling them, get down, hey Bob, don't do this, and don't do this and do that, and sit down and this and that. Nobody was paying attention. And I just stood there for maybe like 10 seconds. And then after the 10 seconds, I just went, everybody have a seat. I didn't yell. I just spoke a little higher than usual. Just told the fact that there was a man's voice that said those words, it was insane. You should have seen the class. It went just absolutely silent. Kids turned around and looked at me and started sitting down. And the teachers looked at me and they were like, thank you so much. I walked away from there saying, wow, man, like just the fact that it's just a guy's voice gets these kids to listen and pay attention. Those weren't my children. I didn't have kids at that time. I don't even think I was married. Interesting stuff.
This weekend. But then how come it's not happening? And here's the other question. Who's to blame? Who do we blame with this? Now, you may be listening to this saying, well, it's got to be the husband and wife's fault. It's got to be the man and the woman's fault. Fine. How come it's not the same ratios around the world? Why is U.S. fatherlessness at 23%? Everywhere else is 7% average. So is it really the mom and dad? So how about the mom and dad in India? How about the mom and dad in China? How about the mom and dad in Germany? How about the mom and dad in Brazil? How about the mom and dad in other places? Why are we at 23%?
So here's what's crazy. If it's a human problem, then we should see the same kind of stuff like everywhere. But what he's getting at here is that this is a societal issue. It's a cultural issue. We're propagating divorce as a society.
How did this happen? Was it like this before? Is it an evolution? Is it mainstream media? Is it Hollywood? Is it the fact that parents are afraid of parenting because everybody is so much involved? You can't do that to your kid. You can't do this to your kid. You can't discipline your kid like that. Whose fault is it? It's someone's fault. Is it the fact that, hey, we can't really bring church and schools and pray and all this stuff? I don't know. Maybe that's not something you agree with. Maybe it is. Maybe we need those values and principles. But it's somebody's fault in America. that this is happening. This is purely a systemic issue that we're having. This cannot be like no, it's really the community, it's the parents, it's the culture, it's all this other stuff. No, standards are standards. We're sitting there not educating. No, it's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. Oh, it's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. Oh, it's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. No, standards have dropped, and the numbers are showing. If we judged a country based on how many kids are being raised by fatherless homes that's producing crimes at the levels that we're getting, sex during teenage pregnancy, abortion, suicide, incarceration, maybe we ought to look at this. Maybe this is very important. Maybe our educational system sucks. Maybe. Kids spend more time around teachers than they do around their parents.
That's not a maybe. That's 100% true. Our educational system is bad. It's broken. It's a bad educational system. I'm not talking about teachers, by the way. I love teachers, and I've had some of the best. I've had really, really good teachers for the most part. I've had really bad ones as well. But I was going to I have a minor in education. My goal was to become a high school history teacher, and I didn't. The reason why I didn't is because I realized the system would not allow me to teach the way I wanted to teach. So I said, no, I can't have this. I don't want to go into a classroom where I get 50 minutes with a student, but I'm spending 35 minutes trying to calm them down. That's not education. The system is messed up. Props to a bunch of the teachers, by the way. Again, I have a lot of friends who are teachers, public school teachers, private school teachers. But there's clearly an issue there. It's a systematic problem we have when it comes to education in this country. We do it all wrong. Like, I think we should just junk the whole thing and build a new system of education.
Maybe, who do we blame? The responsibility has to lie on the nation. Maybe we're either too much involved or we're not selling. Take your time to get married. Take your time before you have sex with someone. Take your time before you get pregnant. Take your time before you have a baby. Protect yourself. Stay home. Do not just go out there and have unprotected sex. Maybe we're not talking about this kind of stuff. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. The stat says we're not selling it in the right way, and we're paying a price for it. If you're in a community that crime is high, hello, you're feeling it. That's the stats. So the next time you see a father that takes their job as a father seriously, you can actually say, now when you see somebody in a military uniform, guess what you say? Hey, thank you for your service. What do you mean? Hey, man, stats, 23% fatherlessness. And you're there with your kids. Thank you for your service. Being a father is tough. Good for you guys. Husband and wife trying to make this work. Marriage is tough. Salute. You make my life better and safer by raising good kids. Salute to you.
Wow. Preach it, Pat. He said when you see a husband and wife sticking it out and raising their kids together, you say thank you, because by doing that, you're making my life better. You're essentially developing a better society so that crime doesn't happen to me, because your kids are going to grow up, statistically speaking, your kids are going to grow up and do well. They're not going to go out and commit crimes. So props to all the folks that are sticking in there. Look, marriage is very, very difficult. My wife and I have a lot of differences. She sat next to me here, and we spoke, and I think we spoke pretty openly about issues and problems that we've had, and also the good things. But in regards to on the daily, right? Like, I make mistakes, she makes mistakes. Let me tell you this. If I wanted to find a reason to get divorced, and if my wife wanted to find reasons to get divorced and build those reasons enough to get divorced, we would have been divorced in the first year of marriage. That's the reality of it. If you want to find reasons to divorce someone, you will find them. If you are so self-centered and you think the entire relationship is about you, you will get divorced. If you think the point of your marriage is for you to be pleased, you will get divorced. No question about it. If you don't have principles that guide your life, you will get divorced. Most people that get a divorce probably should not get a divorce. Most situations, it has nothing to do with infidelity or abuse or any one of things. I mean, go look at when people file for divorces, irreconcilable differences, whatever the heck that means. What do you mean? Seriously, there's differences you guys have you guys can't reconcile? Like, impossible to reconcile? That just seems like utter nonsense to me. You've been married for a year and you have differences where you can't reconcile. Like, get a life. Not trying to be offensive, man, but that's the reality of it. Right? So if you want reasons, you're going to be given reasons. But here's a conversation I had with my wife when she was my girlfriend. This is before we were even engaged. Said, if we have issues, we're going to work through it. If we need to get counseling, we'll get counseling. As we were dating, by the way. And I've probably shared this before, but we'll get counseling if we need to get counseling. Divorce is not an option. We will do everything we need to possibly do to maintain our relationship. If that means giving up jobs, moving away, doing X, Y, and Z, like our marriage is number one. Is it hard? Absolutely. Look, it's hard being married to me. Like, I get it. I'm not saying this in like to mess around and joke. I get my personality. I understand myself pretty well. I know how hard it would be for someone to live in close proximity with me, see all my negatives. I got plenty of positives, but let's not talk about that. But to see my negatives and then like tolerate those things. But it's also true that my wife has negatives, right? It's not like my wife is, sinless, and it's like she's a sinner as much as I'm a sinner, and it's like, well, I got to tolerate those, and then we got to work around them, and then we got to like argue and fight and sit down and cry together, and we got to sit down and maybe yell at each other, and then come to the conclusion of it, and then work past that. Marriage is very, very hard work.
Maybe we ought to give those awards. Maybe we need to kind of recognize Father of the Year award, a bigger deal. Man, if I ran a state or a country, we would be recognizing certain behavior and turning great fathers and mothers into heroes.
Nice.
Into heroes. Because God knows their job is hard, very hard. Not, making their job harder and not recognizing the guys that are doing a good job, just kind of winging it, which is the way we're doing it right now. Stats don't favor us. We got some work to do. This is an area, well, I will very comfortably say America's got a lot of work to do. We've stepped away from values and principles, and we're kind of winging it. Anyways, no one masters parenting, and none of us know if we're going to be great parents or not for about 40 years until our kids are 40 years old. By the time you know you're a great parent, you're probably not alive because your grandkids will validate that you were a good parent. So you're never going to know whether you were.
Bro, that's gold, right? Like, your kids are going to grow up and they're going to be the testimony to whether you did this well or not. So it makes sense, guys, to explain to your kids why you do what you do. So I'll give you an example. When I discipline my children, I usually will speak to them afterwards and tell them why I disciplined them. And one of the things I've regularly told my children is, hey guys, I love you. That's why I discipline you, is because I want you to grow up and be solid, holistic people, right? I want you guys to grow up and be individuals that are hardworking. I want you guys to grow up and be individuals that are respected, that respect others around you. Do you guys understand what it would have been like in my family growing up if, suppose I saw a neighbor that was older and I didn't give them my seat, and that neighbor went and told my parents and said, hey, by the way, your son was pretty disrespectful. I was standing in the bus and he didn't give up his seat. Like, it would have been bad. I would have gotten a whooping, man. Like, they didn't tolerate that. And so I was taught. By the way, I'll tell you this. I was taught that both from my family, but it was also reinforced by society, like Armenian culture. The fact that we call older people grandpa and grandma, the fact that we call older men or women auntie or uncle. See, it creates a familial thing. There's like folks that I call uncle who are not my uncle. In the United States, maybe we refer to those people as, hey, they're like strangers. You don't have a responsibility towards honoring them or something like that. There's some cultural things here that are extremely important.
Grandparent or not. But I made a video from all the different things I've learned and what I apply in my life about parenting called How to Raise Successful Kids. If you've never seen it, click here to watch that video. Shout out to those of you guys that take your job as a father very seriously. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. Thanks for taking your job seriously, man. Appreciate that. That was some crazy stats there, guys. But, yeah. Dudes who are married and who have children. Guys who want to get married and have children. guys who are preparing to get married and have children, you're going to have a fight on your hands. It's going to be very difficult because a certain portion of it is going to be you're going to have conflicts with your spouse. The other portion of it is that you're going to have conflict with your children. And navigating all that stuff is quite a bit of work. But by God's grace, some solid principles, we will do well. PT says, I love my mom. I love my mom too. I love my mama. Amen to that. Jump into your comments, by the way. You encourage your daughter in the ways your wife appreciates to be encouraged and treated. Interesting. That's an interesting point. When you're fatherless, you think you don't deserve to be loved. Man, that's a tough statement. Your self-esteem is severely damaged. By the way, notice that it doesn't say here if you're like a fatherless female or something like that. It's just generally the case. When you're fatherless, you don't think you deserve to be loved. I felt actively discouraged to help in the kids ministry at church, like I'm going to sexualize them. That's interesting. I felt this from the parents dropping and picking them up. The part of the reason you probably felt like this, Aura, is because those parents aren't even aware that guys need to be involved in this. This is one of the reasons why I've just been for a very long time trying to encourage couples to be serving in the children's ministry at church. So whenever you have a husband and wife team, then you don't really get that kind of a reaction. But even the parents need to realize that, hey, we need guys. I don't know what the percentage is, but like it's a ridiculously disproportionate breakdown of males and females when it comes to elementary school teachers. Not teachers in general, but specifically in the elementary school, there's very, very few guys. It's almost unanimously. If I were to guess, I'd say it's like 85% to 15%. It's nuts. It's like we need guys. My wife teaches first grade. The educational system is highly gynocentric too, which doesn't take into account learning styles. Correct. I wish you all the best, Buck. What's going on here? I gotta go back. Okay. Still can't accept gifts. It's hard, and I'm 52. Wow. Man, sorry. Yeah, one of the things is that, like, I've heard this from people. I didn't really have to go through this. But one of the things I heard is, like, people having kind of these realizations that God is their father and loves them and has always been there with them. That might be something you might want to think and pray about, Buck. Mike Pompeo said the most dangerous person in the world is Randy Wingerton. It's not a close call. Oh, what am I missing here? That whatever it was, it just went over my head. This video made me emotional. The older I get, the more I realize how blessed I am to have the parents I do. Wow. Wow. That's gold. So, Arthur, my husband and I often reflect on what we've been through in the years we've been married. I'm sure other people would be long gone. That's right. By the way, I think a majority of divorces happen in the first 2 years of marriage. Statistically, if people get past the first 2 years of marriage, then they are more likely to, the numbers go up like exponentially, which makes sense because you're like younger, you are, it's new, it's easier to get out, you don't have as many responsibilities and connections together. The other thing is that recently I read a book, recently meaning like, I don't know, like 2-3 years ago, I read a book, trying to find it because I want to show it to you guys. Let me see if I can pull this up on Amazon. It has to do with like spiritual warfare in marriage. Defending, I think it's called Defending Your Marriage. Yeah, found it. Okay, here's the book. This is a really good book. I'll tell you something that stood out to me from this book. The book is called Defending Your Marriage. It's right here. Okay, I'll drop the link in the comment section. And one of the things that he says is, and this has to do with like praying for your marriage and paying attention to like how Satan can attack your marriage and all that stuff. But one of the things he says is, folks that know someone who's gotten divorced, I think the chance of getting divorced goes up by like 70%. If it's like a family member or something like that, which was, again, it was shocking. But it makes sense. It makes sense in the sense of, someone, they've gotten divorced, and then you kind of start entertaining that idea where it's like, like they're okay, they're doing fine, look at them. As a matter of fact, there might be a little seductive thing to it. Like, they were married for 20 years. They got married let's just say they got married when they were 22, and then they're divorced by 45. And then, they're single and mingle, and they're dating, and they're going, like, there's a certain kind of excitement in the midst of that, where individuals go, hey, I kind of want that, because, it's like, it's seductive to a certain extent to be wanted, right? And it's kind of that idea where, like, when familiarity breeds contempt, and it's like maybe you're not getting that attention and all that stuff, and then so you desire that stuff. It's phenomenal. By the way, very, very easy read, that book, and just overall really good book, very enlightening. We have to fight to make it work. It's not just between us. God is in the center of our covenant. Correct. Amen to that. We bring our focus back to Him. Yes. Thanks, PT. Thanks for that recommendation. Appreciate it. I saw that. I hadn't clicked on it, so it was cool to watch that with you guys. I've always thought that you can gauge how a woman will treat her husband by how she treats her father, and same goes for men and his mother and wife. This is probably true, by the way. And I especially like reflecting on like my relationship with my mom, and the way my relationship is with my wife. And there's plenty of areas where I need to be better at and fix up. But it's very similar to each other. What up, brother? How you doing, man? I don't believe I can save my kids, but I do believe God honors proper parenting to raise a kid up into His ways. Here's something, I think I mentioned this last time, but I did an interview that's going to drop sometime this week and I mentioned this in that interview. When you do lots of talking throughout the week, you forget when you've said what. So I don't have a guarantee my kids are going to be Christians. Now, I'm not Reformed. I'm not a Calvinist. The Calvinist is going to say a very similar thing. Like, I don't know if my kids are part of the, elect. I don't have a guarantee that my kids are going to follow Christ. But here's one thing I know I can do, is do a good job in disciplining my children for them to make the right kind of decisions as they grow up. The way I put it is that they're like holistic citizens, or they're holistic people, right? They're virtuous individuals. You train them in those kinds of areas. Hard work. I'll give you an example of good parenting I saw today. We were at the soccer practice, and one of the kids was like, essentially didn't want to finish the practice, and the coach told them, go to your dad. This is like an extra practice this specific kid does. He said, go to your dad, don't come next week. I don't want to see you at practice next week. You're going to be whining, you want to be leaving early and this and that. He said, go to your dad. So the kid gets up, pretty shook up, didn't expect that from the coach, goes to his dad. Like, I am watching all this happen. Good kid, by the way. And then like 5 minutes later, his dad walks up with him, and he keeps telling his dad, come with me, come with me. And I was like, what's going on? And dad was like, he's got to go apologize to him. So he didn't want to go and apologize alone. So his dad walked with him, and he went and apologized to the coach, and the coach let him continue practicing. Good parenting. Because that made that kid own up to his wrong. Guess what he's not going to do next time? Do that. He ain't going to do it. He's got to respect his coach. One of the things I love about my kids' coach is that whenever the kids come, he makes them like say hi to all the parents. But again, this is the Middle Eastern kind of mindset, right? This is a cultural thing where it's like you're young, you're here. Go say hi to the parents. Go shake hands. Come say hi to me. It instills respect for older folks. Randy Wingerton, Winger, like he wings it around, right? Like he's just winging everything. Randy Wingerton is the head of the American Federation of Teachers. Oh, God have mercy. Mike Pompeo is a Christian, by the way. Yeah, I've watched Pompeo speak on a couple of issues. And not like Biden is Catholic. Biden is not Catholic, man. What's interesting is our parents, grandparents, almost all aunts and uncles, and 99% of our friends have not divorced. It's pretty wild. Wow, that you guys are like a statistic anomaly. Sam says 22 years of marriage, and she is still intriguing to me. Well, yeah, you could, Sam. Look, you could be intriguing to folks in different ways. Life brings about different stages and will give you about different kind of ideas. But what does it mean? Like, okay, so sorry, that's not a question. That's a comment, I guess. But let me put it this way. When people give these kinds of arguments, like even if she's not intriguing, like, let's just say physically, right? Because physically, none of us essentially are going to be intriguing the way we were at whatever point, right? We're probably all going to gain weight, and we're wrinkly skin and all that stuff. Like there's some people who try to keep that kind of continuously going, and ain't going to happen, right? Like, oh, I want to always forever remain young. You're not. You're going to get old. You're going to get gray. You're going to get flabby. And it's not going to, if that's what your attention was on and it has been on, you're going to lose interest. But there's other things that will intrigue you to a person the older you get. Different stages of life bring about different things. So I think that's possible, very possible, if it's done well and correctly. I just got 4 views on Revelation and 5 views on apologetics as you recommended. Bless you. Which of the 5 views on apologetics do you lean towards? In regards to apologetics, I hold to more of a cumulative case. I recently changed my views on baptism, and I'm not convinced in pedo-baptism from a Presbyterian perspective as a new covenant circumcision. I wish I baptized my kids. Sorry, I'm not convinced. So are you saying you changed it to believe in infant baptism, or you believed in infant baptism and went away from that? You should read the comments you skipped. We shared some good stuff. It will be good for whoever views this video. So usually whenever people are responding to each other, I skip those comments because I just look at them as like an internal dialogue going on with each other. But I'll go back and look at those. 100% chance my parents would have done that too. Take responsibility for your actions and behavior. Exhibit respect. Learn how to apologize. Amen. Biden is Catholic. Biden is not Catholic. He says he's Catholic. He's not Catholic. I am now. I am now convinced. Got it. Okay. Well, how old are your kids? You can still do it. I don't believe it, but unless there's something written in, like, I don't know, Presbyterian ecclesiastical kind of policy where it's a certain age. Okay, so they don't have. I'm going back in the comment section here. Lex said, I was raised by my grandmother and have always been one bad situation away from being homeless. Wow. Sorry to hear that. I know folks that were raised by their grandparents. 35 now, stay-at-home mom, but a lot of my rough situations have come from a lack of real-world guidance. This is just reality, right? When you don't have people who pull you aside and correct you and tell you directions, it's like it doesn't take rocket science. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. My throat is drying out. Man, tomorrow's Thursday. Interesting. You'd be surprised how many like us are out there. I think I'm healed. That's why I'm sharing. No shame in it. Amen to that. As someone who has spent many, many years serving in the church, I have regularly seen this issue of fatherlessness, especially with youth. The kids that didn't have a dad around and were from divorced homes were worse off almost all the time. And the cool thing was those kids that were receptive enough, listen to this, and it's very important. The young people that were receptive enough to be mentored by some of us, some of the older men, and like older, even like in our 20s or something, like mentoring like 13-year-olds, are now at a much better place in their life. Because they had a guy who was like an older brother, if not a dad, like an older brother. Now, for some folks, having, a pastor in their 30s was actually like having a dad, and that just like revolutionized and changed their entire life. So having proper mentors in the church, one of the ways the church can answer this question and come in there is by men taking responsibility and mentoring and discipling younger men, and being an older brother, being a dad to these younger men and women. Okay, I'm jumping down all the way. Five and three, this is all very fresh. Been reading some books. Okay. We've been on for an hour and 9 minutes. You guys, I don't want to hurt the money maker. Yeah, I don't want to damage this. I got to teach a class in the morning for about 2 hours. And then we got an afternoon stream tomorrow, and then we got another stream on Friday, and then I'm doing a couple of interviews. And then we're back at it on Monday. So it's going to be a pretty packed kind of rest of the week. And again, I'm feeling it. That's why I'm doing this, or else I'd go on for another hour or whatever. But let's end it here. Thank you for the video recommendations. If you guys have other recommendations of videos, please email them to me, and then we'll work on that. So, you emailed me. I'm scared. This is a zip file, man. There it is. Hey, it doesn't look any different. Ooh. Hey, you guys want to see? So one of the things we did was sort of update the logo for Apologia Center. So there's a couple of things that are different about it. And here's what the new one looks like. Which means, by the way, the fact that I just got this right now, right there, just got this. Thank you, Henry. Appreciate it. The fact that we just got this thing. Hey, Henry, I realized something that you need to change. There's a weird line here. I don't know what that is. There's a weird black line here. You might want to look at that. It's kind of like off or something. It's doing something weird. But The fact that this is done, we're going to roll out merch. So we're rolling out mugs, probably hats or beanies with this on it. And then also definitely we're going to roll out some hoodies with Apologia. So it's going to have this logo on it. And then it's going to, in Greek, it's going to say, I don't know what I just did there. There you go. It's going to say Apologia on there with the definition and stuff like that in Greek and in English. So looking forward to that. Henry, thanks for all your work. He'll fix it, send it, and then probably next week sometime we'll be able to launch the merch stuff, and that'll be on YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. You can access it and buy it. Cool. Okay. The moneymaker. Yeah, I know. Huh? Hey, God bless you too. Good night. Good night, brother. Good seeing you in here. Well, folks, God bless you. And thanks for hanging out. I will see you guys tomorrow.